Our next incentive coming up is Pokemon Pearl. We can name Chimchar, name the player, and name the rival. Currently, the rival only has $2. Currently, the lead for the rivals is Mr. Bones with $2. So that is one that you can very easily take if you want to donate towards it. And with that, we're going to hand this over to spriteguard for HyperRogue.
All right. Hi, I'm spriteguard, and we are going to be running HyperRogue. This is a roguelike in non-Euclidean geometry. Now, because it's a roguelike, that means we get 1 life. If it's over, we lose. So I am going to be turning on cheat mode just to make sure that no matter what happens, we can finish this run. Now, this is a turn-based game. I'm going to be inputting moves with the mouse wheel in order to be able to move as fast as I can. And it is in non-Euclidean geometry. It's specifically in hyperbolic geometry. That's why the screen is so distorted. Just like how you cannot have a flat map of the world without distorting it, you also cannot have a flat map of HyperRogue without distorting it. And in fact, in a very precise mathematical way, we are on the opposite of a sphere. Now, I'm heading into the Living Cave. We just came out of the Icy Land. Our goal is to get 10 treasures in each of 9 different types. We get to pick which 9. But this game is very random, and so I'm going to be kind of taking things as I see them. I have an idea of roughly what the route should be, but I will be improvising almost everything. Now, this land is going to give us a really good look at what hyperbolic geometry is like. This is a turn-based game. Everything moves at the same speed. Those dogs are going to be following me at the same speed. But because the ground is falling away out from under me, the dogs have to run kind of in a parallel track to mine, because they can't run directly behind me. However, there are no parallel lines in this game. All lines that are pointing in the same direction will eventually diverge from each other. And so I can leave these dogs behind because they have to follow a curved path in order to keep up with me, and so they actually have to go farther to keep up. Now, I'm just looking for an exit. This is the main source of RNG time loss in this game, is finding an exit that is safe and good to use. And so I often prefer to actually knock this land out a little early because it's harder to get out of than some of the other lands. But it looks like we found a way out. And so now we just need to start knocking out each of the fastest lands. This is one of the most tactically complicated, but also easiest lands. This is the Hall of Mirrors. Every time we collect a treasure, some mimics show up that basically copy our actions. They will walk through us, but they will take treasures and they will kill enemies. And there's actually one particular enemy here that we haven't seen yet that if I kill it with my own creature, then it will respawn instantly. But if the mimics kill it, it will not respawn. And Glitchcat, are you here with me?
Hi, yes, I have been here enjoying this fantastic journey through this space. This is phenomenal. I have been keeping track. You used cheats twice, but listen, you didn't see nothing, chat.
All right, and I will be...
The jungle, right?
This is the jungle, yes. This was one of the earliest lands added to the game, and for a long time it was the hardest land in the game. And now that there are 60 lands in the game, because the developer is amazing and keeps updating it for, I think, a decade now, it's not actually strictly necessary to do the jungle anymore. But because it was necessary for so long in the game's life, I got really good at it, and I'm really proud of how good I got at it. And so I still keep the jungle in the speedrun, just because I'm so proud of how good I got at that land. This is the desert. The desert is full of dunes and sandworms. They actually made a movie about this land in this game. They changed a lot. They kind of added a story to it, but it was really cool to see this game, showing up in a major Hollywood production.
Okay, so we just have to find Gurney Halleck and get the Balisette solo here.
All right, so once again, we're kind of trying to find a way out of here. And there's a Joker and a Thief told me that there must be some way out of here, so I'm just looking for that. We can get a little bit cheeky here. This is very dangerous what I'm doing. This land has some creatures in it that destroy boats. And what we need to do right now is get in a boat. And so I have summoned these creatures that are going to destroy the boats that I have to actually take. This may have been a really big mistake, but that's why we activated cheat mode at the beginning, so that I can take risks, show you how this game works, and know that I'm going to be able to finish the run.
Yeah, that was something you talked about earlier with the risk and reward of this particular area, that you have. It can be faster, but you spawn the boat destroying enemies.
Yeah. And so we're looking for this white column here. This is going to lead us into Relia. And we are going to try and make our way to the shore without getting killed by all of the various nasty things in the ocean. Now, some people call this Relia, some people call it Relia, some people call it Relay, because nobody actually knows how to pronounce it. And in fact, I believe Lovecraft considered that a feature of the name. And so we need one more treasure from the beach. The beach treasure is amber, which I always thought it was strange that there was amber on the beach, but the developer of this game is from Poland, and apparently in Poland and nowhere else in the world, amber washes up on the beach. And so that is why the beach treasure is amber. So we now need to collect some statues of Cthulhu. And the goal of the game, of the any percent run, is to get 10 treasures in 9 different types. That unlocks Hell. Then we get at least 10 treasures from Hell to unlock the game-winning item. And then we have to collect the item, get a key for it, and return to the item. And so that is what is coming up. Now, once we have 10 statues of Cthulhu, Relia will rise up from the sea, and we will be able to find our way back to land from here. And because we went into that extra dangerous area, we can actually skip a bunch of the stuff that I was going to do after Relia. And we are just on the lookout for Hell. And that is going to be the next source of RNG time loss, is trying to find our way into Hell.
Yeah, that's one thing about this game is, spriteguard just explained to me, you never actually know you're in the crossroads here, the little joining area between worlds, and you never actually know where the next world is going to show up. You just kind of have to.
Oh, these things are nasty. Oh, these things. These dice are scary, and I'm just going to jump in an orb of safety to get away from it. And I'm wondering if I did something wrong, and I did not actually unlock Hell. So I'm kind of scanning chat for if one of the HyperRogue community members is like, oh yeah, you made a big mistake. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we are into Hell. We're actually going to collect 25 treasures from here. The way this game works is when you get 10 treasures from a land, you get an orb starts spawning in that land and in the crossroads. And when you get 25 treasures from the land, that orb starts spawning everywhere. And the orb that spawns when you get treasures in Hell is the game-winning item, and we're going to gather 25 treasures to make sure that the game-winning item spawns in the Hive, which is a very safe, very wide-open land. And that's going to be really important. Yep, we're going to win the game by collecting an orb. So you can look forward to that. And we have the patient zero of the orb meme on the call right now.
I'm literally looking at a stuffed Super Mario World orb on my shelf right now. They pursue me.
All right, so we are now looking for a Hive and Relia. And so I'm going to probably run past a few of those before I actually see one, because I'm real good at not seeing things in this game. But we found a Relia. Hope no angry dice come after us. Dice are one of the scariest thing in this game. They will chase after you. They're very hard to get off your back. And here is a hive. So now we need a tentacle. And these tentacles are very long. Oh dear, the butterflies are also very deadly, extremely deadly.
That was not a phrase I expected to hear today.
Oh, the butterflies in this game are the worst. All right, so we are now looking for the game-winning item. Things are going very smoothly. This has been a really, really good run. So right-hand side, I now need to concentrate. We're going to be chasing this X. And it is in a straight line. It's not going to look like it because of the distortions from trying to display non-Euclidean geometry on a very Euclidean screen.
In case you're wondering why spriteguard has that tentacle chasing them, those tentacles are infinite. They will just...
Oh, this is real bad. Oh, this might not be possible. Oh, this is horrible.
Oh no, the rings.
Oh, that is... If I step onto these rings, hundreds of angry insects will attack me and attack my tentacle. So we're going to find another Orb of Yendor and take that one instead, because nothing in this game is unique. Right side. And so rule 1 is, when in doubt, run away. Find it somewhere else. I think that was right-hand side?
Right-hand side.
Okay.
So spriteguard needs to know that, because he's keeping this tentacle on the screen, and you'll see in a moment, we need to know what side of the tentacle the Orb of Yendor is on. And imagine, once you see there's about 34 steps out from this key, once spriteguard grabs the key, we're now going to see the usefulness of the tentacle, because imagine finding your way back to the space that you were already in. And that is the point of having this tentacle.
Literally impossible to find your way back someplace without retracing your steps.
Yeah, so that's the purpose of the tentacle, is to be a guide.
Time is coming up very soon. Time.
Orb.
GG.
Nice job. That was a really good run.
That felt really fast. How was that?
Looks like 12:03.
Wow, okay. So my PB until last month was an 11-something.
Wow. Nice job.
And I got an 8:56 during practice for this marathon. So that was really good. I got a lot of 16, 17s in practice. That was really good.
Nice job.
So I'm now going to head straight into the incentive, because this game is huge. When I picked up this game, I was like, oh, a cute gimmick. They've taken some math and put it into a little roguelike. No. This game is like Skyrim-sized. It's huge. There are dozens of different modes and leaderboards. It's really deep, and it's really mathematical in some really interesting ways. And it's actually like cutting-edge mathematics. And so I want to show you some of the cutting-edge mathematics in this game. There's a problem, though. I don't understand all of it. I had this whole thing planned out of it was going to be really educational, and I was going to show you all sorts of cool stuff and explain things really eloquently. I can't. I don't understand so much of this game, but we're just going to look at it and go, wow, isn't that cool? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at what it looks like in first person. Because this is the game we just played, but this is what it looks like from the creature's point of view. Now, because we're in some pretty weird geometry, light rays behave differently. And so it kind of almost looks more like we're zooming in than walking forwards. And that's because the rules of parallax work very differently in hyperbolic geometry. And hyperbolic geometry in 2 dimensions is one of 3 types of 2-dimensional geometry. The others are flat Euclidean, like what you see on your computer monitor when this game is not being played, and spherical, which is what you see when you're on the surface of the Earth. Now, in 3 dimensions, there are 8. There are 8 different kinds of geometry. There's hyperbolic, which is what we're in right here, and there are 7 others. And the question of how many there were was an unsolved problem for a very long time. And in fact, there was a $1 million prize offered to the person who put the finishing touches on proving that it was these 8 particular geometries. And that guy, Grigory Perelman, famously refused the prize. And his argument was basically that it was like he had put the last stone on top of the Great Pyramid, and then that he'd been handed a check for building the entire pyramid. 2006 is when he published the final paper, and 2010 is when he was offered the $1 million for it. So we can go into experiment with geometry, and we can look at... one of the things that we can look at is what we were just looking around in was hyperbolic in every direction. But what we could instead do is we could stack hyperbolic planes in a Euclidean way. And so now we're in this 3-dimensional space that we can move around, we can fly around in.
I think this one's my favorite.
And this one is called H2XE because it's hyperbolic in 2 dimensions and Euclidean in the 3rd dimension. And so things that are far away look very tall and thin. And the way that I think about it is that it's like space is expanding faster in the hyperbolic dimensions than in the Euclidean dimensions. And so your perspective, your sense of perspective expands much faster horizontally than it does vertically. Now, another interesting one is spherical geometry. Now, spherical geometry seems like it would be familiar because, we live on a sphere, but this is 3-dimensional spherical geometry, which actually takes place on the surface of a 4-dimensional sphere. And you're going to see some very strange things here because light rays bend around the sphere, and so things that are very far away look very large. And as I move towards something that's far away, it will look like it's moving away and then towards me, because light rays kind of bend around the sphere and then meet on the opposite side.
I think I'm gonna have to copy your test for this one. Let me just look at your notes real quick. I promise I'll change them up a little bit to make it look like my own work.
And yeah, and it's, there's a lot to learn here, and I'm not going to explain it well because I barely understand it. But like these stars that are getting, as I move towards them, they get like farther away and then closer. That's spherical geometry for you. And you can actually let's see. You can also do, let's do a flat spherical geometry, and then cross it with Euclidean geometry. So now what we're in is essentially a space where we are on an infinite set of two-dimensional spheres that are stacked one on top of the next in a shape that the developer of this game calls a spherender.
That's a great name.
And unfortunately, I've melted all of the ice. So let's see if I can take us to a different place. Let's see, land structure, single land, icy land. Let's try the living cave. Let's see if this is, I think we're going to immediately get trapped inside of a wall. Yeah, living cave does not play nice with a lot of these geometries.
That's something I think that's so interesting when you were showing me this game is that there is a game, like the game that you saw in the Any Percent run is still in here, except this is not even a game, but just a way to explore abstracted spaces. I think that's really, really interesting.
Yep, all of the game's mechanics are still here. So what you can see here is the same thing of things that are farther away can seem very large as if they were very close because light is traveling around this spherical space. But then when we go in this direction, we don't see that because we're just moving in a normal straight line that does not wrap around.
I swear, I had a Trapper Keeper just like this in 5th grade. Favorite one.
Oh, I'll show you your Trapper Keeper. Let's see. So if we go into hyperbolic 436 honeycomb, there's your Trapper Keeper.
Oh yeah, there it is. I'm gonna put my math homework in this one.
Now this has cubes that each meet around infinite corners. So there are infinitely many cubes all meeting at a corner right there. And they're finite-sized cubes, but those corners are infinitely far away. Because math. Isn't this wild? Aren't I explaining it badly? Isn't this cool? That's what I love about this game, though, is, like, if you don't understand this, you can still pick it up and play with it. Yes, HyperRogue is math made tangible. It's really, you can just pick it up and explore it and play with it. And this game has actually become a tool for mathematics research. And because, there's a lot of rigorous working out that people have done for these geometries, but until 2019, nobody had ever actually just walked around inside of these geometries and seen what they look like. And this game was actually the first time that you could view all of them. And there are some even weirder ones. One of the classics is solve geometry. Now, in solve geometry, there's a special direction, which you might call up and down. And when you go up, the world expands in the north-south direction. And when you go down, the world expands in the east-west direction. And that can be easier to see maybe in the vineyard, where we can see that there's this kind of nested donuts appearance to things. But these are actually infinite donuts. They are infinitely long around and infinitely thick. And if we want to go around one of these donuts, we can go around the long way like this. But it's actually faster to dip inside. And the farther we dip inside, the farther away we will come out when we come out of the donut.
Who would ever want to leave, though?
Well, I mean, the donuts are nested inside of infinite donuts. It's donuts all the way down and all the way up.
That is so encouraging, and I'm pleased about that.
That's okay, Sabera. I don't understand either. Are we getting an okay frame rate? I'm seeing people saying
Looks okay over here.
Okay.
I'm seeing a big infinite donut.
And then there is, let's see, we've got nil geometry. Now, nil geometry is going to look a little bit better if we change land here again. I really like the graveyard for nil geometry because we've got these tombstones, and these tombstones have what's called a Penrose stair shape, which is basically, if you've seen those drawings of those infinite circular staircases with the people going up and down them, and it just loops around on itself even though it's a staircase, those happen in nil geometry. And it's a little hard to see them, a little hard to get a good angle on them. But basically, the idea in nil geometry is that there's a special up-down direction, which all of these gravestones are aligned in. But when you go in a circle in the other directions, you end up moving in the special direction. And so that's why you get these Penrose staircase shapes, is because these circular-ish gravestones can't actually have flat tops, because there's not really anything that you would think of as a flat surface in nil. There are surfaces that are kind of flat, but it really does not work in the way that your poor little brain wants it to work.
My poor brain.
How are we doing on time, by the way?
We have absolutely no idea how we're doing on time, but how much more do you have?
I can keep going for as long as you want me to.
How about a couple more minutes?
Okay. So I'm now going to show you the one that is most likely to crash my computer, although we've been having great luck with it recently. Going to go into hyperbolic standard map, and then we're going to go into non-isotropic, space of rotations in current geometry. This geometry has the wonderfully helpful name of the universal cover of the special linear group.
Oh, I read about them in Dune.
And the idea here is that each of these line things corresponds to a single point on the hyperbolic plane. So the plane that we played the game on. And the special direction that all of these lines are pointing in has to do with the rotations of the hyperbolic plane. And no, I'm not going to explain what I mean by that because I don't understand what I mean by that. I just read some tweets that the developer tweeted out and thought, wow, that's really cool. But if you don't understand it, you can pick it up and explore it and play around with it.
This one almost makes sense to me. Like, I'm not a mathematician at all, but what every possible line in the hyperbolic geometry is oriented in a way that turns it. Wait, no, I'm sorry. I thought I understood something. Never mind.
So all of these lines are twisting around this special direction. And they are straight lines, and they are all going in the same direction. It's just that straight lines twist in this geometry.
That's illegal. You can't do that. You can't just twist like that. What is... Oh.
So that is not everything I have for you today, but I think everything that... I think this is a good place to stop. Thank you, Andrew GC4H, for the raid.
Thank you so much for that showcase. That is absolutely mind-bending and so lovely to look at.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. This was so much fun. Yeah, I've been playing this game since 2014, and I play it on my stream pretty often. And the HyperRogue Discord is a wonderful place full of people much smarter than I am, and having conversations that I do not understand, and also making very funny jokes. They're wonderful people. There's a speedrunning scene, there's a high score scene. There are many, many ways to play this game, and they are all really fun. And I'm really glad I could share it with you. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.
Absolutely beautiful run. So pretty to look at every single time. We have 2 donations. We have a $7 donation from Chudley. Have been watching and listening as much as I can the past 2 days. This marathon has been so much fun and a light during a dark winter. Thanks to all the runners, hosts, and people working behind the scenes for making it happen. Thank you very much for your donation. And we also have a $25 donation from Zendi Kiawa with no comment. All of your donations go to the Trevor Project, a wonderful, amazing cause. And Trevor Project is the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ young people. The organization works to save young lives by providing support through free and confidential suicide prevention and crisis intervention programs on platforms where young people spend their time. Wonderful, wonderful charity, so absolutely get your donations in. Up next, we have Conception with Pokemon Pearl. And after that, we are going to headcanon that whenever a Pokemon uses confusion, they're showing the other Pokemon hyperbolic geometries. We will also be handing off the host to Bungie. So with that, we will be signing off, and we'll let Bungie take it away.